All right, today we're going to check out something I was unaware existed. It just came up in my feed on YouTube all of a sudden, and that's footage of some of the unreleased classes. This is, of course, before a bunch of changes. I watched like the first 2 minutes of this to make sure it was a legit video. Um, but yeah, let's get into it because I'm really interested in seeing a couple of those classes that are coming up, kind of what they look like, to get an idea of it. But yeah, let's check it out. But as you can tell, it's an older build because here we have 5 classes.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, one of the game directors on Path of Exile 2. In Path of Exile 2, you can pick from one of 12 character classes. Each character has a combination of primary attributes that they focus on. Today, we'd like to show off a character who specializes in strength and intelligence, the Druid. In human form, the Druid is a spellcaster who channels the fury of nature on the battlefield, a walking natural disaster. But get up close and you'll find out why the Druid...
This actually reminds me a lot of Diablo 2's Druid, where you have it looks like volcano, and there's lightning storm. Well, it was called Cyclone or some shit like that. Oh yeah, there's also a tornado. There was tornado, cyclone, Arctic armor, fissure, rolling magma, fire. What was it called again? I can't remember the first one. And then there was Armageddon. Bro, this looks like that, but just 100 times better.
Druid also focuses on strength. You can transform yourself into one of several wild beasts.
And it also has the transforming abilities. You could turn into a bear or a
transformation in
werewolf.
PvE happens automatically when you use a bear attack. Use Bear Maul and your character will transform into a bear, into a meaty swing. Use a spell and your character transforms back into a human and casts it. Hitting enemies with the Bear's Maul attack will build up rage, which increases your attack damage, so your bear gets stronger with every attack. You can see the...
That is, however, something you wouldn't do in Diablo 2. You couldn't really make a dual build, per se, like having a caster and a shapeshifter, because when you were in shapeshift form, you couldn't really use a lot of skills. So you kind of was forced into one or the other. Either you were a caster or you were a shapeshifter. But this looks a lot more developed and a lot cooler.
Glowing runes that indicate rage on your back. Have a lot of weak enemies to take out? This is where you probably want to break out your rampage. Let out a roar and stampede over all enemies in your path, slamming the ground with your paws. The initial roar generates rage, and then the rage is consumed as you charge along. You can use Rampage by itself to travel a short distance, or do some mauling first to build up some rage and travel a significant distance. Now, while the bear is big and strong, this isn't a pure strength class. You don't have as much armor as a warrior would have. In order to protect yourself from larger
what do you
packs,
need armor
you might
for?
want
It
to consider
doesn't
a skill
do
like
anything.
Furious Slam. This skill is all about stunning rather than damage, so it's quite useful if you're mobbed by smaller monsters and just need to get out of there. Of course, like any PoE 2 character, you can always use a dodge roll to get out of danger, since the bear is the slowest of the druid's forms. Making sure the dodge feels reliable and can get you out of any situation is paramount.
Ooh.
When you dodge in animal form, your character instantly transforms back with no time penalty, so that you can get out of the way. You can even interrupt a mistimed transformation halfway through. Of course, doing this will mean you pay the slight time cost of having to transform back again, but it's certainly a lot better than dying. Something interesting about this skill is that it's faster to use if you're already standing up. If you're on all fours when you use Furious Slam, then the bear has to stand up first before slamming back down. but use Maul first and the bear will stand up as you swing, which has no time penalty. Then follow up with Furious Slam and your bear will quickly slam down. Much more efficient.
One thing I'm thinking of when I'm looking at this is it does seem a little slow. Just like
Next up, I want to talk about Ferocious Roar.
movement-wise
Ferocious Roar is a
and
bear
whatnot.
meta skill gem.
It just
Allows you to take any Warcry skill that another class like the Warrior might use and allow you to use it as a bear.
Ooh,
I'm going to
okay.
take the Seismic Cry gem and socket it into Ferocious Roar. You can actually socket more than one Warcry and use them all together, but let's just stick to one for now. Seismic Cry pushes enemies back and has some stun chance, but the reason we want to use it is for a mechanic called Exerted Attacks. If there are any heavily stunned enemies in range of the Warcry, then your next slam skill will be powered to do double the number of slams. First, I use Furious Slam to stun these enemies. Next, I follow up with Seismic Cry and get the Exerted Attack, and then I slam again. See how 2 slams triggered?
Oh shit. Okay.
So, that's all well and good, but how about we try that again using Rampage? First, get a bit of rage, slam to stun the enemies, Seismic Cry to get the exert, and then rampage around to do insane amounts of damage.
Oh.
So we've covered some of the bear side of the Druid, but how is he as a spellcaster? Now of course we want to maximize the amount of time you spend in your animal forms, so most of the spells targeted at the Druid tend to be things that last a long time or provide tactical options on the battlefield. The first and probably simplest of these is Lightning Storm. Cast it on the ground and you get an area where monsters are continuously struck by bolts of lightning. The bolts don't do much damage, but they shock monsters, which is a debuff that increases all damage on them, meaning it's a great spell to use before going in as a bear.
Okay, so it's
That's
not.
going to increase your damage, but as I mentioned before, the bear form of the Druid could use some defenses as well. The bear in particular is the slowest attacking of the Druid's forms. He hits hard, but if he gets swarmed too much, it will result in your death. That's why Tornado is so useful. Tornado sucks monsters in, allowing you to split up packs and deal with groups separately, or pin monsters in place and set up combos with your other skills. The Tornado doesn't really move big monsters much, so you can actually use it to separate a boss from its minions too. The Druid also has the ability to summon animal companions. This is another really useful defense because wolves can take aggro from you, keeping monsters away. In addition, the wolves howl as they are summoned, putting a temporary debuff on enemies that makes them more vulnerable to critical strikes, and giving you a reason to resummon them in combat. The last Druid spell we're going to talk about today is Volcano.
Are they gonna
Cast
stay
it quickly
alive,
like this and
or
will spawn just a few projectiles. Or you can hold down the button to channel it for longer, which will make it fire a whole bunch of projectiles when it spawns, doing a lot more damage. The Volcano sticks around firing its little projectiles for a long time, so it's another good skill to cast before turning into a bear. Now, the reason you're going to want to turn into a bear after using Volcano is that any slam near the Volcano results in it spewing out even more projectiles. And if you thought that was a lot,
Okay.
then Rampage is even better, because it does 2 slams every time it hits the ground, and you can run around the volcano.
I'm getting good ideas, but not necessarily with this.
Now, if you've been paying
That
attention, you might
tornado
have
skill
realized this is
seems
going to be
really
extra
good
good
for
with
crowd
Seismic
control.
Cry, which we were using earlier to double the number of slams. So, first we're going to cast
Holy.
Volcano. Then Furious Slam till you stun something, Seismic Cry to get the double slams, then Rampage around while the Volcano spews out a stupid number of projectiles. This combo would have been even better if we'd remembered to cast our Lightning Storm first, but getting time for that seems tricky. It would also have been nice if the monsters were affected by the crit debuff that my wolves do when I first summon them. This is where some meta gems to automate some elements can come in handy. Here's a gem called Cast While Channeling. If we add Lightning Storm to the skill, we can cast it automatically while we channel a Volcano as we set up our combo. Cast While Channeling is an ongoing effect, so enabling the skill will cost us Spirit, which is a new resource in PoE 2 used specifically for these kinds of skills. If you look at the top left of the screen as we channel, we can see the energy building up to cast the lightning storm. So long as we channel Volcano for long enough, the lightning storm will also be cast on the same targeted location. Currently, cast while channeling is active in reserving spirit in both our human and bear forms. This means that any channeling skills we use as a bear technically will also cast the lightning storm. We can actually do this with Rampage right now, but it's not the best because we would prefer to stack the lightning storm on top of our Volcano, rather than just casting it randomly as we're rampaging around. We're also unnecessarily reserving spirit in our bear form we could be using for something else, so let's fix that. I'm going to go into the skill options for the skill and disable it in my bear form. We showed at ExileCon how you could use skill options to control which weapon set to use when casting skills, but you can also use the same interface to enable or disable which buffs you would like to have active in your different weapon sets too, without having to recast them all the time, and shapeshifting counts as a weapon set. Now when I change to a bear, the effect and the spirit reservation goes away, and when I change back to a human again, it's back automatically.
Oh, I see.
So, now that we have some extra spirit available as a bear, why don't we make our life a little bit easier by automating one of our other skills? This is the Cast on Melee Stun meta gem. I'm going to put Summon Wolf in Cast on Melee Stun, so that whenever I stun a sufficient number of enemies while I'm a bear, it will summon another wolf.
Ooh.
This is great because usually when I'm stunning, it's because I'm about to do my exerted attack slam combo. When wolves come out, they howl, adding the crit debuff to the monsters, right when I need it. It also helps keep my wolves alive and summoned at all times without me having to do it manually.
Okay, so you do have to resummon.
So, last but not least, let's talk about the skill tree. At ExileCon we showed how you could dual spec your character so that different weapons can use different passives. Well, as I said before, the bear form counts as another weapon set for specialization purposes, so he gets a tree too. If I open my passive tree, you can see how I'm near a melee damage cluster and a spell damage cluster. By holding shift, I can allocate these passives in my human form, and these ones as a bear. Now, when I change between human and bear form, my passives reallocate automatically. So, here we are at the Blind Beast. The goblins have enslaved a huge behemoth and gouged out its eyes. Now they're sending it in to fight you while they watch.
Maybe this is gonna be insane. This seems a little bit like there's room. They've changed this a lot, right? Because this is however long. This is like a year old or something. So they've changed a lot around since then, but still. This does potentially look like something that could really just one-shot shit if you make it right. You haven't even seen the monster or anything. This is like a different game. It's like PoE1 we're looking at, but with the bear form. It doesn't seem like he has the most crazy damage here, but it is a little bit like the devs always seem like they don't have the craziest damage when they play. If you want to see crazy damage, you gotta check Young out or Druid 2. That's where the crazy damage is. They'll do something with these other characters that are gonna be insane. It's no. It's so cool to see that. That is super nice. The interaction between the
And there we have it.
volcano
With
and
a little bit
you
of
standing the
customization,
ground
we have
is
a build that
really
can
a
combine
good
many
idea.
different active skills
Holy
to do
shit.
some really
It's really
interesting
cool
effects.
idea.
At the same time, your skill tree reconfigures automatically at the right time, and your buffs reconfigure automatically as well. You can even cast certain skills automatically. But we also haven't lost the dynamics of combat. Many skills interact with each other, and the ones you choose to use at any different moment depend a lot on what enemies you face or what situation you're in right at this moment. And at just the right time, you might be able to combine all your skills in one crazy combo, get some satisfying screen covering spam, and do some crazy damage. Now, these are just some of the skills targeted at the Druid in PoE 2. We didn't even show you the wolf form yet. There's a lot more to play and experience, and we look forward to
And
letting you
there's
guys
another
try it out
form
when we
too.
go into beta on June 7th, 2024.
There was wolf form, and then there is something else we don't know about yet. Okay, let me see if I can find the Huntress. Okay, here we are with the
Another
Huntress.
island, I guess.
What class is this?
This is the
Let's see.
warrior.
Okay.
This is your sort of like quintessential slamming
Oh,
guy.
yeah, in a completely
and I'll
different act.
show you a
as
few
well
of the
here.
interactions between the different.
Do I dare say the other game? Is it similar to a B word character?
I mean, I guess.
Bar.
Whoa,
I
this
guess
is a
so,
whole-
but, what's
this is-
an area we haven't shown much?
what the
Maybe
fuck?
Journey's End. Here we go. Let's have a look at Journey's End. I'm not sure what's sort of appeared on streams and things like that, and what hasn't. So,
Oh no.
anyway, so.
That's so cool.
Right, so I guess one of the things we really want to make sure of with the warrior is that all of our melee skills
was
kind of
the
have
warrior?
a lot of mobility damage on them. So the design of this is basically, this is just a little town area. I like the most is on the Huntress is a skill called Whirling Slash. So the design of this is basically, this is just a little town area, so I can just practice here without any monsters attacking me. But when you use this, it creates this little like whirling storm around you. And the more you use it, the larger the storm gets. And when you exit the storm, it explodes. So it's kind of like a really nice single target, sorry, not single target, it's a really nice area of effect thing that you can use to kill a whole bunch of monsters. So that's kind of like a non-obvious one as well. So like I can use Dodge Roll to get out of it, but there's actually more things you can use. For example, if I
Use that with
this
some
here,
cast on?
I've got a skill
Fuck
here
me.
which like makes your character run maybe you didn't quite see that. Like do like a slash back, and which also traps monsters. So you want to kind of like whirling slash, and then get out of there with that one. And then once you're out of there, then you can start throwing the your spears from range. Another one that's really useful
The
for
spear
Huntress
throw
is,
with
the,
lightning spears.
Spear field.
Oh,
So when you use this,
my
probably not that
God.
useful against zombies because they move so slowly anyway. But you create a field of spears and they slow down monsters. So if you've got a lot of fast monsters around, then that's a really handy one. And then the other one that's kind of useful is puncture. So puncture can be useful for moving from one pack to the other. If I make this thing here, well, there's no other monsters nearby, so that's unfortunate. But effectively, it's a skill that lets you teleport towards monsters like this. And the further away you are when you use it, the more that you're going to bleed. The more that you're going to bleed them. So it can be quite handy to use, depending on the situation. So maybe if I'll sort of do this. So I'm going to create a whirling slash here. I'm going to go out of there, that traps them in, but I can go back in with the puncture to bleed, and then follow up with my more single target rapid assault skill, which has a nice ending damage thing there. So this guy's moving pretty fast, so I'll use Spear Field to slow him down a little bit, and then I can pre-prepare my whirling slash before he arrives. And then maybe like get the Mac like this, and then go back into the puncture, this kind of thing. So there's a lot of mobility to combat that we've been
I think
achieving
this one
kind
is
of
going
what
to be
we're doing,
really
which I
good.
honestly don't really that much compared to some people on the team.
Yeah.
So I haven't done too much practice on this class.
I have a feeling.
But the skill ceiling for PoE2 can be quite a lot higher because of the fact that there's a lot more of the sort of action combat stuff that you can do.
I'm
So we
tempted
only
to
put like
play
a few
this
skills in there. And
instead.
there's also
if
Acts 2, so you
if
don't
we're
have that many
getting
more skills compared to what
both
you would have
Druid and
later.
this.
But I guess
I
that
don't know.
that
I might
that's
play
it
this
there, enough to
instead.
show you at least some of the basic stuff that you can do as a Huntress. We do have a lot of other like elemental spear attacks. Like we've got a lot of different throws. But this class, what it's kind of really about is sort of going into and out of combat a lot. You know, like you charge in, you jump out, like this kind of thing. You know, like
Kind of like the monk.
and then you've got stuff that you can do from range. You've got stuff you can do from close. It's really about exploring that that sort of in and out kind of thing that it's got going on. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing that the Huntress is about.
Let me just check if there is any more that I could see for any of the other classes, really, or at least it didn't. Nothing really came up. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. So this is the caster version of the Druid. Oh my god, I hope it's gonna be something like this. Yeah, this gear is pretty sick too. I could do with some better rings, for real. And some livers. Okay, so we're on the other side of the Amazon here, like the boa, which is also pretty fire build, but nowhere near as strong as the Druids for sure. Still cool though. It's definitely one of the more off-meta build here. Imagine you found the 640s. Oh, damn. I wonder if this is gonna be like the Druid on Path of Exile 2. This is used to be my absolute favorite character. I used to fucking love this when I was a kid and started playing the game for like back in the day. This was my very, very first character. Having a Druid was like the thing back then. Oh my god, this feels kind of nostalgic playing this right now. Holy shit. This is a pretty awesome character though. Oof. Now this is what I'm gonna play first, I think. The Huntress. Oh. Whoo. This feels like one of the best characters in the game, I'm not gonna lie. This is the damage output from the Amazon with Spears is ridiculous. You can just legitimately walk up to Bale in an 8-player game and just 3-tap him or something like that. It's really good. But I like the lightning fury when you're throwing your lightning bolt and it just splits into a bunch of, like, if you have a lot of cows, something like that around you, it looks so cool when it just splits into 1,000 lightning bolts. Oh my god. Or the Huntress. I think the Huntress is gonna be one of the best characters in the game. I have a feeling that it might go that way. Just because if it's anything like this, oh my god. Oh my god, if it's anything like this. Holy shit. That's the one right there. Oh, that looked so fire. Yes. This character is pretty crazy too, honestly. 208 Titans. Ooh. Ooh. A little Griffy. Phoenix. Elders, we love those. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nice Emmy with some teleport. Yes, yes, yes. Another pair of 200 ED Titans.